Welcome everyone to chair yoga. So making yourself comfortable in the chair. We'll begin our practice today by just taking a few moments to prepare the body. So extending your feet out a little bit in front of you to take any tension out of the knees. Folding the hands in the lap. Go ahead and close the eyes or just drop the gaze. And turn the attention inward, shutting out the busyness and chaos of the day. Taking a moment to notice how your body feels. And then taking 2 deep cleansing breaths. So take a nice big inhale and exhale it all out. And then one more nice big inhale and exhale it all out. And then soften the muscles of the face. Relax the muscles of the neck and the shoulders. And then turn the attention to the breath. Notice the inhale. And notice the exhale. And then we'll begin a nice, even breathing. Inhaling and exhaling to a count of 4. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4. And just continue this nice, even breathing. If at any time it makes you lightheaded or dizzy, just go back to your own normal breathing pattern. And then we'll also set an intention to help remind us why we are here. So that may be a benefit you would like to receive, or just an uplifting or a positive thought or phrase. So think of an intention that you'd like to have for your practice today. And then with your next inhale, go ahead and lift your head and open your eyes. And we'll begin the warm-up by turning our heads to look out over that right shoulder. And coming back to center and turning to look out over the left. And back to center, dropping the chin into the chest. And then picking the chin up towards the ceiling and jutting that lower jaw out. And coming back to center and dropping the right ear to the right shoulder. And back to center and left ear to left shoulder. And back to center. And then extending the hands out in front, open and close the fingers. And then some wrist circles. And reverse. Good. And then go ahead and walk your feet back in if you did have your legs extended. And we're going to bring the torso forward so you can rest your forearms on your thighs. And just have your wrists extend beyond your knees. And then having the palms face each other, just make two loose fists. And then we're going to just move the wrists, and we do this in and out. Just extending and bending the wrist. Good. And backing off if you feel any discomfort or pain. Good. And then go ahead and lift that torso. Take your hands, open up the fingers, and then we'll do some finger taps. So just tapping, starting with the index finger, then the middle, ring, and pinky to your thumb. Just tapping each finger to your thumb. And then reverse it. Good. And bring those hands down and shake it out. And then sitting up nice and tall, we'll do some shrugs. Good. And then the next time you pick the shoulders up, roll them to the back. Good. Bringing the shoulders down to neutral, we're going to pretend we're playing a tug of war. So you're going to extend the right arm. Imagine you grabbed a rope and you're pulling it back towards you. So you're doing this kind of hand over hand movement, warming up the shoulders and the back. And we're going to focus a little bit on the spine today in our extended warm-up, moving it, keeping it flexible and supple. Good. And then we'll come back to center, so lift that torso, bring the elbows alongside the body, turn the palms up. Keep the elbows pinned to your side and just take those lower arms or the palms out to the side and back in. So you should feel this up in the shoulder. We're doing an external rotation, working the rotator cuff. Good. Couple more. Good. Come back to center. Just release those arms and shake it out a little bit. And then coming into the lower body, we'll extend the leg. Now, what we're going to do is we're just going to do with the right leg some heel and toe taps. So just a heel, toe, Good. Working the ankle and the calf, chin. Good. And then try it on the left leg. Just heel toe taps. Good. Come back to that right foot. As you pick it up a little bit, then we'll do some ankle circles. And reverse that circle. Good. And then switch legs. So circles. Looks like pointing flex. And reverse. Good. Bring that left leg down. Do a little hip walk up towards the center of the seat of the chair. And then we'll come back to heel taps. This time you're going to extend the legs. So now we're getting the knees involved. Just alternating here. Good. Then we're going to add the arms. So as you extend the right leg, extend the left arm, and then the opposite. So it looks like you're walking, maybe picking up the pace a little bit. Good. And then we'll come back to center. And then we're going to pick up each knee and just do a little march. So warming up the thigh, moving into the hips now. Good. And as we come back to center, we're going to do a seated jumping jack, or we call it downward facing dog, because we're extending those arms and legs. Good. Let's do 2 more. Good. And then coming back to center, we're going to go into cat-cow because we'll do an extended warm-up, excuse me, where we'll incorporate our bend and a little twist. So starting with that spinal warm-up of cat-cow, we'll take a nice big inhale, lift the chest and chin, arching the spine. And then with the exhale, rounding the spine, dropping the chin to the chest. If you have osteoporosis, just keep the spine in neutral here. You don't want to round the spine necessarily. All right, and then inhale, come back to cow. And exhale, either neutral or rounding and dropping the chin. And then inhale, back to cow. Exhale, neutral or cat. And last time here, inhale. Good. And exhale. All right. So coming back to center, we're going to do a little warm-up called a compass. So you want to keep the spine loose, flexible, supple, whatever term you want to use. Because as you get older, obviously, when things get stiff, then it tends to lead towards injury and things like that. So a couple of things to keep the back nice and flexible is moving it in all its directions that it can move. So we're going to be doing that for the warm-up. The other thing is, and we'll do this standing and a little later, is focusing on the hamstrings. They have found out that a lot of low back pain is caused by too tight hamstrings. So that's why we always incorporate a hamstring stretch at the end of the practice. But standing today, we're going to focus a little bit on that too. All right, so doing the compass is something you can do every day just to warm up that spine. So sitting up nice and tall, we're going to sweep the arms up and just reach those fingertips up. So imagine here's your north. South, you're going to come forward, just bring those arms down towards your toes. So you're keeping your back straight here. Good, so this is south. East, you're going to come up, just keep the left arm down and we'll do a little side bend to the left. Good, back to center, go the opposite way for west. Good, and then coming back to center, we're going to add a twist to the left. Good, back to center and twist to the right. Good, and release. So just doing those movements is a great way to warm up the spine along with cat-cow. So let's try that again. We'll sit up nice and tall. We're going to go through this a couple of times. So north, south, touch your toes. East, bend to the left. Center, west, to the right. Good, back to center, twist to the left. Your exhale, back to center, switch hands, and right. Good. Release back to center. Let's try it once more. Inhale, really reach up, extend. Good. Exhale, you're just coming forward. You don't need to round here. Keep the back straight. Good. Inhale, east as you exhale. And center, and west. Good. Back to center, twist to the left with your exhale. Good. Release to center, and then twist to the right. Good. And release back to center. All right, let's come up to standing. So we'll continue to walk the hips up now to the edge of the chair. Shift your weight, come on up. And then just putting the chair to the side for right now. All right. So we will start by standing in Tadasana. Again, bringing focus to that spine. We'll start by having the legs parallel with each other, finding the four corners of the feet, lifting up through the arches, tightening the front of the thighs, arms alongside the body as you lift and tighten the abdominals. And then focusing on the spine, lengthening up from the tailbone all the way up to the crown of the head. Picking the shoulders up, rolling them down the back, lifting the chest. Good. Keeping that chin parallel, stacking the ears over the shoulders and gazing forward. Just taking a few breaths here. Good. All right, from here, we're going to come into chair pose. So let's turn the palms so they're facing forward. With an inhale, lift your arms up just a little bit above shoulder height. And then with the exhale, push the weight back in the hips. Begin to bend the knees. Coming down, keeping the chest lifted. Just glance down and make sure that you can still see your toes. So you haven't pushed your knees forward, but push the weight back in the hips. Good, and then continue to breathe. Also great back strengthener along with your glutes and hamstrings. Good, and then inhale, come on up. We're going to try that once more. Just go ahead and kind of walk it out, shake it out a little bit. Good. All right, here we go. Bring those palms forward. Inhale and exhale. Just like you're about to sit in your chair. So your weight has shifted into your heels. Hips are behind you. Again, just glance down. Make sure you haven't pushed your knees forward. Good, and breathe. Good, and then inhale, come on up. Woo, release, feel that in my legs. Okay, now we're going to come into a standing back bend. So we did our north, south, east, west, where we came forward and lengthened. Lateral bending, twisting. The last movement is a little back bend, which we did and we warmed up in cow. So we're going to come into a little deeper one here, standing. So bringing your hands around behind you, place the heel of the palm on the low back. Now here you want to pull the shoulders down the back, and if you can, pull your elbows in towards each other, just so you open up the front of the chest. And then with an inhale, begin to lift the chest and the chin, looking up. Now you'll want to feel like you need to push those hips forward. Try not to really shift the pelvis forward. So you want to try to keep your hips mainly over your knees so that bending is coming from the mid-spine. And then continue to breathe. You don't have to drop your head all the way back. You can keep it supported. Good. And then with your next inhale, lift the torso. Just release those arms. Good. And we're going to try that one more time. All right. So coming back here, again, opening up the chest. If this is uncomfortable for you in the shoulders, you can also fold your hands across your back. We're going to be doing that in another pose, but this also, you can see it opens up the chest. So if that's more comfortable, if you're okay with crossing the hands or clasping the hands behind you, same thing. All of those three different things open up the chest and the shoulders. So whatever's comfortable for you. All right, I'm going to come back here. Inhale, and with the exhale, begin to look up. Good. You could always put your hands on the chair too. Just thought of that. Good. That won't open the shoulders so much, but you'll get some bending. Good. And then exhale as you return the torso back up. Now, if you feel a little dizzy, just close your eyes for a moment. Keep your hands on the chair, obviously, so that you don't fall. And just kind of let everything, the blood pressure, return to normal. And then we're just going to do a really loose twist. So the one we call this the elephant trunk. Just looks like an elephant swinging its trunk. Good. It neutralizes that spine after we've been bending and stuff. All right. So the other thing, along with moving the spine in all the directions, I mentioned your hamstrings play a really important role, especially in the low back. So many people have low back pain. If your hamstrings are really tight, then that can force your pelvis into pulling too tightly on the pelvis, and then that can contribute to the low back pain. So we're going to do a couple of things to stretch the hamstrings. So coming behind the chair, the first pose we're going to come into is Warrior One. So go ahead and shift the weight to the left leg. As you bend the right knee, you're going to bring it behind you, bring your toes behind you. As you press your right heel down, you're going to bend your left knee. As you bend your left knee, make sure it's not going past your toes. So you may need to widen your stance a little bit. Now, we want the hips facing forward. So pull that left hip back, push the right hip forward. If you need to keep a hand on the chair, go ahead and do that. We want to bring the torso upright. So either keeping one hand on the chair, extending the one arm, or both. Good. Now, one way to give you a little more stability here is to tighten this right buttock. That will help support that back leg. Good. And then gazing forward. And then with the exhale, sweep those arms out to the side. We're going to come back to placing them behind us. So just crossing or folding those forearms against the low back, holding onto your opposite forearm. With an inhale, straighten the left knee. Now, if you find that you're a little too wobbly here, then keep a hand on the chair. With your next inhale, lengthen up. And then with the exhale, you're going to bend from the hip. So your back stays perfectly straight. As you bring your chest forward a little bit, you feel how now that left hamstring is beginning to stretch. So everybody's going to be different here. Only come down as far as you can that you just feel a nice deep stretch. There's no pain, you're not straining or anything like that. Just want to bend that hamstring. Good, and then with the inhale, go ahead and lift the torso, bring the hands back to the chair as you step the right foot forward. And then we'll try that on the other side. So weight goes in the right leg. As you bend the left knee and step that foot back, you'll bend the right knee, press the left heel down. Good. Square the hips to the back of the chair. Again, if you need to keep a hand on the chair, go ahead. If not, then bringing both arms up, gazing forward, tightening that left buttock. Good. Press into your right heel and breathe. Good. And then with the exhale, we'll do the same thing, folding those arms across the low back. Inhale, straighten the right knee. And then with the exhale, bringing the chest forward. Again, making sure that you're not rounding, you're not bending from the waist, but the hip. Good, just until you feel a nice deep stretch. And then continue to breathe. Good, and then with the inhale, go ahead and lift the torso, release the arms. Shift the weight forward onto the right leg to step the left leg forward. And then we'll come into downward facing dog, which is another great back and hamstring stretch here. So placing the hands on the chair, walking those feet back, start with the knees bent. That will help keep the back straight. And then dropping the chest down towards the floor. And then from here, you can begin to straighten the legs a little bit, again, until you feel a nice stretch in the hamstrings. Good, and breathe. Good, and then to come out of the pose, if your legs were straight, go ahead and bend them. Begin to walk forward as you lift the torso. Good. All right, we're going to do 2 more standing postures. One is, they're both balance. One is a moving balance, and one is more holding still. So this first one is called pulling on pants, because it looks like what you would do when you're going to pull your pants on. So you're going to shift the weight over to the right, have the chair there if you need to for support. Imagine you're holding your pants out in front of you. You're going to pick that left leg up and step into your pants. So let's just do the left leg. Just pretend you're stepping into those pants, just like you would if you were getting dressed. Good. Once more here. Good. Now, if you did use the chair, go ahead and put the chair on the other side as we switch legs. So you're going to shift the weight to the left, pick up the right leg. Good. Again, just like you're putting that foot into the pants. Good. Now, continue with just the right leg. Or if you want to try to balance, see if you can just a couple of times maybe alternate your legs. So that would be truly like you were getting dressed, just stepping into each pant leg. Good. You don't have to bend over real far. It's mainly the picking up the leg. Good. And make sure your chair or counter, if you want to try this later. Good. All right. Go ahead and walk it out. And then we'll come back to the chair on the right side. We'll shift the weight into the right leg. If you need to, keep your right hand on the chair. So then this one now, we're going to take the left leg behind us and bring the left arm out in front of us. And then we're going to balance here. If you can, maybe pick that left toe up a little bit off the floor or extend the right arm. So this is a little variation on Warrior 3. Good. If you need to keep those toes on the floor, then maybe balancing here. Remember, you want to find your gazing point out in front of you. Good. And just take a couple breaths. So you're building strength in that right leg because you've got most of your weight in that too. Good. And then go ahead and release. We'll try it on the other side. So you can certainly have the chair here and keep that left hand on the chair. So we'll extend the weight into the left leg, bring your right toes behind you, bringing that right arm forward. Maybe just lifting those right toes, balancing here, or extending then the left arm too, or keeping the toes on the floor. So whatever is a challenge for you. Good. And when you lift that leg, you don't have to lift it real high. You're probably feeling that a little bit in that low back. So you are working those low back muscles. Good. And then with your exhale, go ahead and release the arms. Walk it out. Shake those legs. And then we'll come back to sitting in the chair. If you do have your water nearby, go ahead and grab a drink. At any time, feel free to grab a drink. All right, so sitting up towards the edge of the chair, we're going to come into a lunge. So we'll take that right leg, step it wide, and then you're going to actually pivot and shift your hips so you're facing to the right. Sit up towards the edge of the chair and drop that left knee down. And then kind of wiggle your left foot back. Get my right position here. And then you can place your hands on your right thigh, lifting the torso. Good. So we're focusing now on the stretch on the front of the hip here. We worked on those hamstrings. Now we're going to stretch the quads. Good. And continue to breathe. Good. And then with your next inhale, we'll take that left leg. Go ahead and sweep it forward. Continue to stay facing to the right and just shift your hips to the center of the chair. And then we'll come into a chair twist. So inhale to lengthen. And with your exhale, continue to turn to the right, looking out over that right shoulder. And taking a few breaths. Good, and then go ahead and release the twist. We'll take that left leg, step it wide, and then continue stepping till you get to the other side. So left leg steps wide, come again to the edge of the seat. You can drop the right knee down and kind of walk that right foot back. Good, and then just placing your hands on your left thigh so you can lift the torso. Feeling that nice stretch in the front of the right thigh. And continue to breathe. Good. And then we'll take that right knee, sweep it forward, shift the hips so you're in the center of the chair, still facing to the left. Take a nice big inhale to lengthen the spine, and then exhale, turn and look to the left or towards the back of the chair. Good, and breathe. Good, and then with the exhale, go ahead and release the twist. We'll step those feet around to the front. Stay up at the edge of the chair, and we'll extend both legs, heels on the floor, coming into another hamstring stretch. So we've got a lot of stretching going on today. These are all great stretches you can do every day. At the end of the day, maybe if you take a walk, this would be a great stretch to do after that. So bending from the hip, just bringing the torso forward a little bit. You just want to feel that stretch in the back of the leg. Again, there shouldn't be any discomfort or pain, whatever is a stretch for you. Come back to your nice, even breathing. Good, and then go ahead and inhale, come on up. Walk those feet back and coming to the center of the chair. We're going to come into eagle pose. So that is involves some crossing of the leg, either crossing the ankles or taking the right leg and crossing the left thigh. So if you've been told that you shouldn't sit like this, if perhaps you had a hip replacement, then just cross the ankles, that's fine. If you can cross the thighs, go ahead and do that. If you can, even cross the lower legs. You want to keep the torso upright, extend the arms, take the left arm, cross it on top of the right, just above that elbow, and then Options are to bring the hands to the shoulders, lifting the elbows, or crossing then the lower arms. Either one. Good, and just continue to breathe. Good, and then as you slowly exhale and cross those arms, go ahead and uncross the legs, and we'll try it on the other side. So again, either crossing the ankles, cross the thighs, or cross the thighs and the lower legs. All right, sitting up nice and tall, extending those arms. This time, sweep the left arm underneath the right arm. So the right arm's on top. And again, come back to that hug or wrapping the lower arms. And breathing. Good, and then slowly unwrap those arms. As you uncross the legs, we'll then widen the knees, coming up towards the edge of the chair and doing an inner thigh stretch, placing the forearms against the thighs. Inhale to lengthen, and then exhale, just tilting the pelvis. So again, you're bending from the hip, bringing the chest forward to about 45 degrees, and then pressing those forearms into the thighs so you deepen the stretch. And breathe. Good, and then go ahead and come on up. Keep those knees a little wide. We're going to come into just a nice upper body movement until we are ready for Savasana. So these are a couple of Tai Chi moves. So with the left hand, I want you to do what we call wipe the table. So come over to the right and imagine you're wiping a table just to the left. Your palm is down, and you're just going to sweep it across like that. The right arm, actually I think I screwed that up. The right arm is going to wipe. Sorry about that. So right arm wipes. Left arm is going to open the curtain. I think I got this right. So right hand, the palm is down, left hand forward, and you're going to do that same movement together. Then you're going to flip. So now the left hand's going to wipe, right hand's going to open the curtain, and then switch. Good. So you should get into this just easy movement from side to side. Again, good movement for the spine. So again, maybe if your back is a little stiff, just any easy movement like this will help loosen it up. Good. So just wiping and opening the curtain. Good. And actually, it doesn't really matter. You probably do just that nice, easy flow, even if you just had your hands out in front and kind of did this. Good. All right, let's come back to center. Now you can walk the feet together, do a little hip walk to the back of the chair, and then coming back into that relaxed position, extending the legs, folding the hands, closing the eyes, turning the attention back to the breath. Again, notice the inhale and notice the exhale. With your next inhale, let the abdomen rise first, then the chest, filling the lungs all the way up to the collarbones. And with the exhale, let the collarbones fall first, then the chest, then the abdomen, drawing the navel to the spine. And just take a few of these nice deep breaths. And then focus on the physical body. Relax all the muscles from the feet, all the way up to the crown of the head. Release any tension. Or tightness. And then focus on the mind. Release any thoughts, worries, or anxieties. Imagine yourself in a place that brings you peace. And give yourself just a few moments to completely let go. Begin to deepen your breath. And then start moving your fingers and toes. And then the wrists and the ankles. Slowly bending one knee, then the other. And keeping the body relaxed and the eyes closed for another moment. Focus on the intention that you set at the beginning of the practice. And then we'll take one more deep cleansing breath. So take a nice big inhale and exhale it all out. And then go ahead and lift your head and open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.